Hey, well, here we are back at the worm. Well, I'm not back. I've been here, but haven't seen you in almost a week. If I look a little different, I've put on a little weight. Prefer you not stare. I get a little uneasy. Oh, yep, I was just coming to check. I got so soaked yesterday because we had snow and the snow melted all day long and rolled off here, and you can see the overhang's 1 foot, which is exactly where you stand, and it just drips down your neck. So I was frozen and soaked for half the day, and I'm not falling for that again. We did get the window slapped up there and half the siding here. Got this entire side done. Isn't that beautiful? For a dude hand making it with a chainsaw and battery powered tools out here, I think it's quite nice. Of course, if I don't want to get soaked, I'm not going to do this side either. That only leaves the front. And I'm saving up all the prettiest boards for the front and for the inside of the cabin. So I don't really want to be, I'm less than halfway done with the siding. I don't really want to start throwing stuff on the front right now. Got to see how far I can get in the other walls with less than gorgeous wood. I mean, it's all really nice. It's just cedar, but it's got some pretty stuff to put on the front. So I think I actually have the next 5 days. It's supposed to be nice. There's not really any precipitation, rain or snow in the forecast. So I'm gonna get this thing completely closed in. But I think it's in the 40s today, so certainly by the end of the day, the little bit of snow and ice stuff that's left on the roof there will be gone. And tomorrow I'll go right back to that wall that I started. So I guess I'm gonna spend the day hacking up the rest of these logs. I've just got this one pile left. There's nothing longer than about 8 feet there, but that's definitely enough to do one wall, maybe 1.5 walls. If I mill all this stuff up today, I'll definitely have enough to finish all the outside of the cabin. That's what I really want to get done. If I get the rest of it wrapped, all the siding milled, cut, slapped up there, the windows popped in, then all I got left is the door. I actually don't know if I'm gonna put the door on before I side the front or after. I'll have to give that a little think, but anyway, so I don't get soaked, I'm gonna get the chainsaw mill out, turn this into siding. I'm doing my best to save this nice log. It's a 12-footer, no rot, perfectly straight. Just one of those things when you get building and you find out you need one long 2x something and I don't have any, and I gotta go cut trees and start that whole process over again. I'll wish that I had this laying here. I'll save it, I have restraint. Whew, I got more than half of them done yesterday. I really wanted a nap this morning, woke up early and I was barely able to stay awake, but I didn't do it. I wanted to get out here early. I just checked the weather. It's supposed to be around 60 for the next 5 days. So I'm gonna freaking knock this thing out. Try to start right when the sun comes up, work until it gets dark. We're gonna have a cabin at the end of this week. All right, 7 more logs. Oh man, it doesn't take very long before you forget that this kind of weather is even possible. If I'm honest, I kind of feel like stripping off naked and just laying in the sun for a while. But then I'd have a sunburn and no cabin next week when it starts snowing again. Whew, just took a minute to eat some lunch before I get switched over to ripping those boards, and check out these weird mushrooms. I think I think we're getting right to the point where the weather's right and all sorts of mushrooms start coming up. This is one I definitely haven't seen before. Right next to my coolers. Pretty bizarre, huh? Let's see. Let's see just how weird these things are. So strange. Wow, same color inside. Purple. So weird. I'll try out my mushroom app here and see if I can figure out what it is. Looks like violet grape olite. Although non-toxic, this mushroom has incredibly bitter off-putting flavor, and that makes it inedible. Let's taste it. Just kidding. Get back to work. Yep, bunch more mushrooms. Ooh, some really big ink caps, I think. These are bigger than the other ink caps I've seen around here. Not much to them. Takes about a day or two and they turn into black goo. Alright, this is what I got out of that pile of small logs just from here over. So these guys here, all 7, 8, 9 feet. And then I got another little stack here. I think that's going to get us a long ways, so there's a lot of line snapping. I'm going to start up the generator and use the circular saw again. Probably take me the rest of the day just to turn these into suitable siding boards. Sweet, got them all done. I worked all night. I don't know what you guys were doing. Yeah, I just put in like 26 hours straight. Not really. So back to the siding. I just gotta find something to fit underneath here. I was gonna try to do a whole course all the way along there, but it's gonna get a little tricky because it has to be level through there, the same width, same height. You know, we should probably see. I made these all 3/4 inch instead of my usual 1 inch. Just, yep, look at that, it fits. Just so it fit in there without having to modify or cut or route these or whatever. That's fantastic. No, might not need to cut that. If I could just jam it under there. Trying to filter through all this stuff and keep the prettiest stuff for inside or the front, but it's kind of hard to sort them all out like that. Isn't that gorgeous? Especially with the fat lines on the outside. I can't help but think of bacon every time I look at this stuff. Ever since I figured out the straight edge thing, I haven't ruined any of these. I think I mentioned before that if there's no, the way I trim these, I don't take it all the way down to perfectly flat lumber. I'll leave some of that raw edge on there just to maximize the width of every board. But if there's not enough wood there for the bearing to run on, you just dive right into it. So I'm trying to pay attention when I do this, and any spots that are kind of undercut like that, I have to put a straight edge on them and use that to run the router along. All right, that looks pretty sweet. Now, just gotta figure this out. I don't have any idea how I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put some kind of vent in there. Huh. Yeah, my thought, I saw at the big box building stores, the vents you can get for a soffit. You know, usually it goes horizontal here over to the building, and then you'd have some venting in the bottom of this. I'm not gonna do that because of the somewhat abnormal way I built this. I think I'm just going to continue this siding all the way up there, and then in between each of the rafters I'm going to drill a big hole and put some screen on the inside of it, so that'll sort of vent up there. I mean, there is going to be insulation all the way from the top plate up to the ceiling, so I don't know how much it's really going to vent. Probably almost none at all, but I'm going to do it anyway. So we just have to figure out how to get the siding up there. I think maybe I'll just do this top piece of siding and cut around each one of these. I mean, I could also just put blocks in between each one, like run the siding right up to the bottom of the rafters there, and then cut another square that fits in between each one of those. Maybe I should do that. Let me think about that for an eighth of a second. Yeah, well, I don't have enough siding that's tall enough to do it all on one board, so I guess we'll just finish it like it is and then hammer some blocks in there. One thing I just remembered is I didn't nail this all the way on. This has just got a couple tacks to hold it on there, because I knew once I got into putting this stuff up here, I wasn't gonna be able to swing a hammer. It's not like I have a nail gun or anything, so yeah, I think I'll pop this fascia off of here and it'll make it a whole lot easier. That is, if I didn't happen to accidentally nail something else into it, like through the top or, well, it's only a couple nails. Let's see what happens. Yeah, sweet. Man, I'm a smart dude. Smart enough to know I'm not a great builder, and I sometimes plan ahead for that fact. Well, I just spent the better part of an hour looking for the little helmet mount for my GoPro, and I can't find it, so you guys are just gonna have to watch the rest of it from the ground, I guess. You do remember I don't know, a few episodes back when I was milling most of this lumber, I had a couple of cedar boards that had little stripes of blue or purple or something in them, and I said sometimes you can find rotting wood that looks like that. I didn't find the blue or purple, but there's the super green stuff. So it is possible to get some of these boards with crazy stripes of color. I haven't found any chunks of rotting wood that are that real deep purple in a few weeks, but I'll keep my eye out and show you. It's amazing, isn't? God, nature's just something. All right, well, I guess we'll leave it like that. Save those top little fill-in pieces for scraps. Since they're only about 15 inches long in each one, I'll have a lot of scraps left over. I'm also partially gonna leave it because I don't really want to do it right now. I want to do the other wall. Ooh, you know, I just remembered this other wall has a little bit of a lean to it. If you sight from one of these studs over there, you can see this wall is leaning a little bit like this. I mean, some of the 2x4s aren't quite straight because, you know, I made them, but if you go on the corners here and plumb it up, it is leaning a little bit. So I might try to find a big ratchet strap or something. I don't know if I could maybe go from corner to corner and pull it back into plumb, see what we can find. Well, I should be able to pop these braces off, right, without the place falling over now that that wall's done. So I can't really go cranking and ratchet strapping that wall with the braces still on there. Let's just see what happens. Didn't fall over, did it? Yeah, okay, hit a nail. I'm guessing it won't take very much pressure to tilt this thing, but who knows? Always use a bowline when you can. Always use a second bowline whenever you can. Or a bowline on a bite. Either one will work. Anything happening, you think? Yeah, it's off a little bit. Check this in too, just to make sure. Yep, off by the same. Let's crank her. Ooh, I heard it creaking over there. Must be moving. Not much. Guess it's sturdier than I thought it was. I don't really want to get hit in the face by anything. Yeah, I hear it creaking. Barely moving. It is moving though. Okay, that's all I'm willing to do. Something's gonna rip out and break. Let's see. So freaking close. I think that's good enough. The bubble's in the line, so let's leave it. More siding, more siding. Nothing like being pretty deep in the woods, building a cabin by hand with a chainsaw, and halfway through being a big billboard for your local box store. Nothing against Lowe's, I just don't like it when it's plastered over the side of my cabin. Well, it gives me a kick in the butt to get the siding on as fast as possible. I wonder if you guys can understand why this is so exciting to do this. So I've been working on this non-stop for more than full time since the end of last winter, and just now it's turning into something you could call a cabin, like actually has walls closed in. Everything up to now is just preparation, and this is the real thing. It's almost a cabin you could use. Don't staple your fingers. I don't really know how to do this. I'm kind of making it up as I go. I'm going to tape it all anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter, but That's the best I can think of. Makes sense. Makes sense to me. Oh, it's the real summer now. 65 degrees, calm, and here's what makes it better than real summer. No bugs. No bugs. Of course, I like to collect bugs, so it's not as good for that, but I don't have time to collect bugs. Just got time to build, and it's amazing out here right now. Bunch of rain coming just for a couple hours tonight. Kind of seems unbelievable, but then back to a good warm clear day again. So pop the window in tomorrow. You know, I'm sure a lot of you have been watching along as I built this, and you know, since I moved out to the woods, and you'll probably see a lot more videos. You'll get to know the inside of this cabin, but for now, check it out. There's actually an inside and an outside. I can't believe it. Crazy, right? Crazy it's coming together. It's kind of blowing my mind. What we really need is a big planer, because that's a little bit too fat. If only I had one. I don't think it's worth dragging it out of the box just for this. I'll do it with a hand planer. This is the single board that takes the longest. It'd probably take an hour, hour and a half to get that one course on there, because this and this are not collinear in line. It's not level from one side to the other there. They're all at weird angles. And it has to fit around here. Anyway, I mean, just come back in, you know, 6 or 7 hours, I'll have it on. What do you think the chances are I mark this right? I'm going a little less than 50-50. Yep, I already confused myself. Well, let's just keep going and see if it comes out. So this part comes out. Hey! Wow, looks great. Part of the trick of this one is that, I don't know if you guys remember how I did the headers. There's a stud here, and then there's a big fat like 2x12 going that way, and then a stud there. So there's nothing to nail to in between, and I meant to put some in there, some little nailing strips, but I forgot on the other side, and then by the time I did this on the other side, I thought, oh yeah, I'll at least do it on this side, and I forgot again. So there's, yeah, you can't nail anything in all the way through there. Which is not too big a deal, it just means you gotta, you know, not have any breaks right there over the window. Luckily, there are only 2 or 3 courses that go there, so it's not, yeah, not a huge deal. But that does mean that this needed to be one board all the way down at least to that stud. Gotta say right now, of all this, I'm most excited about caulking this whole thing. Just all these beautiful gaps in here meant for a caulk gun. That is gonna be a riot, especially with the battery powered caulk gun. As I've mentioned 100 times and you've seen before, I always just tack all these boards in. There's just one nail in each stud, so I could find the studs, but I'll go back and double nail them. And then these edges, I didn't want to split them, so I'll probably have to pre-drill holes on each side to nail those in. I do this because, you know, sometimes I'll put a board up, I'll put this one on, and then I'll go onto this one and realize I forgot to route the edge of this board. Or several times I found one of these as I'm going down the wall that I forgot to trim the edge off. It was just sticking over a little bit, so it's nice just to be able to pop a few nails and pull it back down. And once the entire wall's up, then I'll just go through and nail everything. Ha! For instance, there you go. I forgot to trim the end of that board. If I'd nail it all on, then I'd have to dig all these nails out with the cat's paw or nail puller or something, kind of screw up the board. So that's why I tend to make a lot of mistakes. Man, it's taken probably a couple weeks to get this far on the siding. I mean, just actually trimming and installing. I don't know if that's including the, it's definitely not including the milling. But 2 weeks, and 2 weeks feels like it's flying. I can't believe how fast it's going together. You kind of get used to a slow pace of making and building when you're making your own lumber and building supplies and doing everything by yourself. But this is great. This is like click and go, like immediate satisfaction. So this is all we got left, and this is going to be super fun to put on. Again, because I don't have any long stretches. I got maybe 2 or 3 long stretches up there right across the top. These are all going to be short boards, no gaps, easy to put on. Same here. I mean, this is all single boards too. There's only one thing I have to consider here if I want to use some screws. As I've talked about a whole bunch of times, I think to insulate this floor, I'm actually going to build up. I'm going to put board insulation in, maybe a couple layers of it, and then put a new floor on top. I'll do that same 1-inch aspen board, but run it through the planer and finish it really nicely. And I don't think that's really going to cause any problems because the ceiling's already a little bit high. The windows are fine. I mean, they're not a standard height. I just put them in wherever, but if the windows were essentially brought down 3 or 4 or 5 inches, that would be fine too. The only issue is going to be this door. So if the floor got built up here, you'd have to move the entire door up or cut the bottom of the door off. So I'm thinking if whenever I get around to it, I could actually just take a couple courses of siding off here and a couple courses on the inside, and all I'd have to do is raise this up a little bit. Raise it up as much as I raise the floor, and then reinstall the door a little further up. I don't think that would be too big a deal. I mean, I could also do it now, but I'm not 100% that's how I'm going to do the floor, and I'm really not 100% on how all this goes together. I'm not sure how the door will fit in there, how the siding will fall on it, how it'll all get trimmed out. So yeah, maybe anything that'll have to get pulled off there to move the door, I'll just do with screws. We'll see. Let's put the wrap on first. I was just trying to recall before I wrap this, there's something I need to do on this corner, and then I remembered I put this corner in backwards. So I wanted to do this wall and this wall inside, and then that wall in the front. But if you run the boards to here, then there's no corner to catch there. So I think I can completely do it that way as long as I add a stud here. So I'm just gonna slap one on. Oh, what are the chances? I was thinking this is just a nailer, it's not structural or anything, so I could just put pieces on there, and I looked under my pile, and what do you know? Exactly the right size. Yeah, it's kind of overkill, but that'll work. It's supposed to storm in a few hours. This must be the calm. Oh, it's fantastic. It's nice every now and then to pull your headphones out and listen to the nothingness. Usually I'm making so much noise running chainsaws or power tools or pounding or something that I have my headphones in partly to protect my hearing, but man, it's lovely. Oh yeah, this wall's gonna need to be wenched over too. To the winch, wench! Woo! Hey, dead on. Look at that. Dead on. Sweet. Well, I did it again. Didn't put any nailers over that header, so I guess it worked the first couple times. We'll just have to make it work this time too. Yep, the downside is it's going to rain the rest of the day and all through tomorrow morning. The upside is I'm not wet. Check it. This is awesome. This is the only time that this is going to be pretty much closed in and have nothing in here. I do feel like we have a foosball table in here, or a pool table or something. I don't have anybody to play with, but at least that would mean I'd win. This is great. It's great. You know, I constantly think about building this thing. Of course, I'm doing it just to have fun, but I am constrained by the season. I'd like to get it, you know, finished up before it gets too much colder, we get too much more snow. So in some part of my brain, it's kind of like a, not a rush, not a hurry, but, you know, got to get to the next thing. And then I consider, there's a possibility I'll have this place for the next 10, 30, 50 years, who knows. You think back on the 6 months it took to build it, will seem like nothing, how I just threw it together. Gotta take time in life to enjoy the days, the minutes, and the hours. Well, so long as it rains, I guess I'm not doing more siding. It's too bad I don't have the insulation up here. God, I can't believe it's already time to insulate this thing. I got it all down in the parking area in my trailer. Maybe tomorrow I'll bring it all up in here now that it's dried in. Just keep it back in the corner, and then when I get a rainy or snowy day, I can be popping insulation in. Just took a minute to kind of rearrange the furniture in here, you know, get the feng shui right. Just seeing if this will really work for a living space. It seems like it will. I mean, you got a place for your Tyvek, for your router, and your hand tools. I'm not sure what else you'd need. All right, well, I guess we'll pick this up tomorrow if the rain stops, eh? Holy cripes, that was a lot of rain. I bet we got an inch or two. You know, I was just thinking, the one place that's going to be a problem is right here, because you walk in with wet or snowy boots, everything melts and goes down through the floor into that wrap underneath there. There's really no way to wrap this like you do a windowsill. I mean, when I put another floor on this, let's think, how would you do that? I'll have to tape and wrap this doorway and then put the floor over top of it. Still, as soon as this dries out a little bit, which probably won't be anytime soon, I'm definitely going to keep this caulked at least, you know, the 5 feet around here wherever your boots are going to be. So hopefully the water will stay on top of these boards. Whatever, if that ends up being the only problem from everything I've done so far, I think we'll be doing pretty good. I was just thinking this morning, I was looking out from the man cave window as it was pouring at this, and I got a kind of weird idea. You know, usually like one side of the board is thicker and then it goes to thinner, and then I go the other direction, thick down to thin. I was thinking it'd look cool if I did like, I don't know, 2 or 3 boards all the same direction and then switched and went back the same. And also, as it goes up here, I could really make them like twist this way and then come back that way as you go up, like at least these 2 areas, and actually even up this side would be kind of cool. I don't know if that's a great idea, but I'm gonna do it. I'll show you what made me think of it. I really like the look of these. It's the same thing as what I'm doing over there, but vertical, but you can see where some of the boards like come together this way and then turn and go the other direction. It's not like any of this is ever going to be confused for having been built with store-bought lumber, but yeah, I think it'll just give it a more bizarre twist. Let's try it, see what happens. If we don't like it, I mean, it'll only be there like that for the end of time. I just realized we probably better see how this door fits in here before I side the whole thing and can't get it in there. So let's see, this is going to be the outside of the door so the door can swing in. I don't really like this trim, this molding on here. It's gonna look really weird with the cabin. I'll probably end up just ripping it off and trimming it with cedar. But I do notice that it comes out that far. So if my trim's thinner, this is still gonna stick out a little funny. I don't know, maybe I'll have to leave this and just paint it. Of course, since I'm building this in a weird way, since there's not OSB on the outside and then siding over that, it's just one layer on the outside. I'm not really sure how to put the door on. Question is, do you put this on and then the molding over the side of it on the outside, or do you just put the door right on here, run the siding up to the edge of it? Of course, all of it's going to get caulked in. The other thing is, really should have the steps built first before I put this in, because that tread on the door is going to transition right out onto the landing out here. I think I would take the time and do that. As much as I don't like building steps because it's boring, I would probably do it if I had more time. My guess is what I'll end up doing is getting this all closed in, making some more in between, not quite good enough, not quite safe enough steps just to get through a little bit. And then once I get this all usable, I'll come back out this winter probably and have to put the steps in, at least temporarily. Well, I guess the thing to do is pop that one piece of siding off of there and set the door. And the other thing I got to consider too is I got to put this together in a way that I can take the door off later and scoot it up, and that it's not going to screw anything up. Like I'm not going to have to pull everything off. Oh, this is going to be not very easy from the ground like this. That's what I get for getting a solid core steel door. Let's see if I butt the siding, then later on I can just cut the siding up there a little bit, scoop the door up. That would be okay. As it is now, this hangs over like 2 inches here, so I'm not gonna be able to step on that. Yeah, best I can tell, it doesn't matter. But it's a lot easier to cut this siding back a little bit if I want than it is to grow new siding into holes that I already cut. So I'm just gonna put it on. What do you think? 3 one direction, 3 the other direction? Not make it too weird, but just weird enough? Or should I do 4 or 5? Let's just do 3. Maybe we'll get it a little bit weirder up there next to the window. I like it. Well, I'm getting down towards the bottom of my lumber piles. I got mostly the darker red stuff saved up. I think that's got more character than a lot of the white stuff. But man, there are a couple logs in there. They're just gorgeous. I might be going a little far and saving up the good ones because now I'm putting them on the front of the cabin. So that's kind of the showcasiest place to put them. But I know some of these, that's actually got some nice blue in it. If that was run through the planer and varnished, it would look crazy. But I got nothing left but to use this stuff, so hopefully there'll be a couple of fun boards left to put in there, someplace special. Would you look at that? The sun's poking out. Amazing. Man, I gotta pick up my pace. Things are starting to freeze. Look at this. All ice. See the reflection? It's pretty cool crystals in there. Looks like this is probably the coldest day for the week, but not that much longer and all my water's gonna freeze. The one thing I dread is draining my water tower, because then I've got no shower water out here except what I can get in buckets. I mean, I can get lake water in buckets and just leave them out here if they freeze. It's not that big a deal, but you know, my hand washing tote, my drinking water and everything will have to be kept inside. Happens every year. It's not that big a deal, but I'm so close to not having it as an issue. I'm also having to put the generator on idle just to charge a few Ryobi batteries, but right now it's too cold to charge them. I think they actually won't charge when it's below freezing. So I turned on the little tiny heater in my tent and put a few Ryobi batteries up in the gear loft up there. Do that for 20 minutes or something, they'll be warm enough to charge. And then I got a few fresh ones that are charged, but I have to warm those up before I use them. Otherwise they only last for a couple minutes. I don't really like to run the generator to use the skill saw if I'm only just cutting the end of a board or two off every 20 minutes. I mean, when I was ripping a ton of them, it was fine because I was using it a bunch. But yeah, just to leave it running and using it 3 seconds every 5 minutes doesn't make any sense. So, gotta use the Ryobi batteries. Got to figure out how to keep them charged. It's actually the same thing with the Jackery. I very often charge the Ryobi batteries off the Jackery but now the Jackery's cold enough that it can't be recharged unless I warm it up. So I don't know, we'll figure something out. Looks amazing. You gotta have a pretty weird sense of building aesthetics to like this, and I think it's fantastic. Especially like how it looks like the windows sagging in there or something. So I just need to pound all the rest of these nails in and then do some caulking. Well, guess we'll get the door on first. Oh yeah, and we gotta do these vents up along here. Oh man, that's gonna waste a lot of good lumber. I was hoping to do them all with scraps, but I was pretty careful not to throw any big pieces away. I really puzzled everything together to have as little waste as possible. I'm not going to use the pretty stuff up there because, yeah, that won't even be seen once I put that fascia back on. Well, we might as well take this off. All right, well, nails, vents, door, and then what? Oh, I'm gonna trim these corners out at some point, but I don't know, that doesn't need to be done now. Again, I'll probably end up having to pull some of these boards off or something. It'd be nice that the nails aren't pounded all the way in, so I probably won't do that corner trim yet. I don't know. Anyway, you've seen enough for 1 week, haven't you? I sure have. As always, thanks for watching. This cabin is, frankly, it's really doing it for me. I'm loving this. I can't wait to get working on the inside. So, hope to see you next week. Come back and we'll, you know, all that stuff. See ya.